Welcome to Life Lessons Podcasts with Donna Elliott and Cheryl Lee from Now Is Your Time. We have got an incredible woman as a guest today, Claire Hornis. And we met Claire back in last year in 2019, and we were blown away by her story of courage, of bravery, of vulnerability, and talking about a topic that is still taboo for many of us who are mums, which is around postnatal depression, how that impacts us. But we wanted to share Claire's story with you because what Claire did from that is create a whole new life where she's now paying that forward and helping other young mums and families and people who are new to parenthood. So welcome, Claire.
Hi Donna, hi Cheryl, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. Honestly, your story gave us goosebumps the first time we spoke.
Oh, really?
Because I think it really reminded me, it catapulted me back to that time of being a new mum and not really knowing which way was up and terrified you're going to hurt the baby, and just having some days where, quite frankly, you wish you could put your coat on and bugger off. Because
oh yes, definitely.
so much harder than anybody tells you. But you don't want to say that because then you look like an evil person. And you, though, particularly had a really, really, not just a bad day, you were having a really difficult time. And it all sort of manifested around after your second baby, didn't it?
Yes, it did, yeah. I'd had my first, who at 19, and I was quite lucky with my first. He was kind of very much a textbook baby, and we kind of adapted to family life quite well and things, and trying for our second was quite a difficult feat in itself as well, so that took its toll on us. But we had our second baby, and it wasn't actually the same as I had with my first. There was lots of things surrounding the pregnancy, the birth, how he was in himself and things, and all these little factors contributed to the way I was actually feeling at the time. Although I kept it very, very hidden to myself. I wouldn't actually have admitted to how I was feeling at the time. And yeah, it was a bit of a horrendous time. My postnatal depression with my second manifested more so in more of an obsessive compulsive disorder with him. I absolutely hated anyone going near him. I just wanted to protect him all the time. I wanted to keep him near me. I just wanted to protect him so much, and I was so scared that something bad was going to actually happen to him. I had visions and dreams of scary, horrible things happening to him, and if I was there, I had visions even if his dad would take him out in the car, or is something going to happen whilst they're out in the car and I'm not there to protect him. It kind of manifested in more of an obsession with him. So postnatal depression, it kind of takes everybody in different affect people in different ways as well, doesn't it, and things. So
but that's what this was fast, because I thought I knew a lot about it, but I didn't know that was one of the ways it can manifest, that catastrophizing that something bad's gonna happen. And how did you, like, when you were in it, were you thinking this isn't normal, for want of a better word, or were people telling you, Claire, your behavior is different, or how?
I don't think at the time nobody noticed. I think because of when I had him, a lot of my family are from up north anyway, so my mum was living up north then, so I could phone her and kind of, actually she did actually know a little bit more than what she kind of said to me at the time. And we didn't really have any family close by as such, and so I kind of, and my husband worked nights as well, so I kind of kept it to myself a lot of the time. I don't know how I did it, to be fair, but I also kind of became a little bit reclusive as well. I didn't want to go out too much and things. When I had my second during pregnancy, I got Bell's palsy, so that caused a lot of upset with me, because I didn't want to go out because I thought people are going to be staring at me and oh my goodness. And of course then my second, he had reflux and colic, so he was always quite crying baby and upset, so I didn't want to go out and think, other people thinking, oh, she can't cope with her baby and things. So
Yeah.
it kind of was very, very well hidden. So yeah, I didn't actually get asked. You kind of get asked with the midwife, and you get the health visitors come round and ask you if you're okay and things, and you get a little sign-off sheet and things, which actually I think at the time I probably was feeling it, but I just didn't want to admit something was happening in case something happened and they took him away or something. So
the worst of that as well.
Yeah, I remember thinking that. What if I take him away, if I tell them that I feel a bit off?
Yeah. How was this for your husband? Because obviously bringing a baby into the world as two parents, then how did he cope with this?
I think with him at the time, because he was very close to my first, so there's 4.5 years between number one and number two. And so he helped a lot with taking my first out and things like that. He's never kind of got involved too much with the baby stage, apart from my two younger ones actually. I've got 5 altogether. But with the older one, he probably did, and I know he has told me since that he kind of felt as though he wasn't needed anymore, he wasn't doing enough for him, because I was nagging at him, oh, you're not feeding him properly and this and that, and because I wanted to do it, I wanted to do everything, and you can't do everything. I was just literally trying to do everything I could to protect this little baby from whatever kind of irrational fear I had that was going to upset family, what could happen to him.
Yeah. And you were blessed enough then to have the 3rd baby.
Well, then
but
continue.
It didn't go. It wasn't just an unlucky thing where it was with one of your pregnancies, you then got it again while still having experiencing the aftermath of your Bell's palsy episode too. That was still something very much that you were dealing with as a woman.
Yes, that's right. I went on to have our 3rd baby, which was a little bit of a surprise actually in itself. And I'm kind of quite glad that it happened the way it did, because of the way I was feeling anyway. We wasn't really planning on having a 3rd. And then when I found out what I was expecting, I was already 21 weeks pregnant. So that was the quickest pregnancy ever, mind you. But at the time, it caused a little bit of, oh my goodness, how am I going to cope with 3 boys now? My second at the time, there's 20 months between them. And my second, he wasn't sleeping still. He was still getting up in the middle of the night for a good few hours. I was trying to maintain a job and look after the first one as well, who had differing needs with school and things at that time. And so my 3rd one came along, and with that and the way I was feeling still, the postnatal depression with him kind of materialised into us not bonding as such. With my second, although I had the postnatal, the kind of myth with postnatal depression, you kind of think that there isn't that bond between you and your baby, which does happen, and that happened with my 3rd. But with my second, the bond was there, but it was a little bit obsessive.
It's like one or the other.
So with the 3rd, it kind of manifested even more so. And with me dealing with my second a lot more, the 3rd he was a great sleeper actually. We used to call him Little Dozy, and he used to just sleep the day away, bless him. But I think because he was kind of that stereotypical good baby, I hate the terms good, bad babies, they don't exist, but he was that stereotypical good baby you could just put in the corner and he'd fall asleep. So
he'd read the book on how babies ought to behave.
I know. So he was kind of left, and kind of I got on with my second, who wanted me to. He was wanting to learn new things all the time and things, and it was that guilt as well of spreading yourself between now 3 children and a husband and trying to maintain a job. because I went back after 6 months with him to a job that I absolutely hated, actually. And it was just ridiculous. And then the more I kind of thought about it and things, there were definitely episodes where I just wanted to end it all. And that kind of manifested at some points where I'd take the boys and we'd be feeding the ducks and just want to chuck the pushchair in the river, and me too, and just forget all the feelings. And it was just horrendous, such a bleak time. And I didn't seek any help. I didn't even speak to my husband. I kind of pushed him very much away. So there was a good 3 years where we were just muddling through, I would say. We weren't a couple as such. It was just mum, dad, sort the kids out and go to work. It wasn't a kind of a relationship, but I suppose that's what. And the more these thoughts happened, I blamed him for it. So I pushed him away, and then which resulted in us splitting up. So we split up. I think the boys were 9, 5 and 4 at that time. So we split up. And I thought, once that's out the way, he was the one that was causing all these problems.
Yeah.
But actually, it wasn't him at all. But in that year, because we had a year apart, I kind of found myself a little bit, started socialising a little bit more, started doing things for myself, because I always thought, as a mum, you can't have any time to yourself, and you have that typical mum guilt, but actually you do need that time, and it is so crucial that you have that mum time to yourself. And yeah, I can't remember what I was saying that.
You know, just going back, because I just think it's such an important point, and like, thank you so much for being honest and speaking openly. And this is the first time you've done anything like this, right? Where you've spoken publicly about this on a podcast around feeling like I just thought it was better if I ended it all. Like, that's such a huge thing. What do you think stopped you from reaching out to someone, Claire?
It was that sense of that I'd failed them. I'd failed as a mum. I'd failed as a wife. That ultimately my kids would be taken away from me if I'd have reached out and asked for help, because mums weren't meant to feel like this. Mums were meant to love their children with all their heart, which I obviously did. But all these other feelings took precedent, and it was a horrendous time. And I couldn't even speak open. I wasn't very open back then either, and I think as you get older anyway, you become a little bit more open and a little bit less caring of what people say, I think. Anyway, that just with time. So I don't know if it was because I was a young mum and you judged that way as well and things, and you just feel as though you're always judged and didn't want to come up. I mean, I've gone to the doctors a couple of times with the little one, especially with his colic and his reflux and things, and didn't always get the help that I actually needed. And at the time, I should have fought for that second opinion or even gone back, but because it was kind of not thought about, and you're just as though you're a neurological mum, it's normal and things. I think actually it's just me, I'm failing.
So you were just internalizing all of that, but actually also blaming he kind of became your emotional support for it all, and you had that separation. Really, of just trying to then find yourself. And like you said, doing things for you. We talk about this, self-care isn't selfish all the time, don't we? Come on, be a good mum and a good partner and a good colleague and a good friend if you have just got nothing left in the tank to give.
You have, I mean, now I've learned it, you have got to learn to live yourself, love yourself, or you can actually love anyone else. And that's not to feel guilty about or anything. It is essential, really, because if you're depleted, you can't give to others.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's a little bit of a nice ending with you and your husband, isn't there?
Oh yes, there is now. Yeah, we did get back together and we had 2 more boys.
Mm-hmm. But I like you were dating in secret.
Yeah.
It was like secret girls dating before. Don't tell anyone.
We got back together after about a year apart, but we didn't dare tell the boys, so we were actually dating in secret for a little while. It was like being back at school kids, and it was quite exciting at the end.
Yeah.
And things, and yeah, we did get back together and we bought a new house, and life just went on as it did, and then we had gone on to have 2 more boys. Luckily, we've not had any experiences of the postnatal depression in any shape or form with those 2. Kind of my 4th came along, and I think he just brought love into the family tenfold. It was just amazing.
Yeah. And you were in such a different place, weren't you? In such a different space. And then, like you said, with not having a chemical reaction in the postnatal depression.
Definitely. I think it was actually opening up, because in that year when we got back together, because we spent a whole year like dating and things, and a lot of it was opening up and speaking out, and probably speaking to my family, my mum. I'm always on the phone more to my mum these days. My mum always knows when there's something wrong with me these days. I think she knew back then, but she wasn't too sure how to address it, and because she was so far away, now she's come back down to Kent where me and my sister are now, so she's not too far away, so she keeps me in check.
But like you said, like that guilt and shame of feeling like you're failing as a mum, like it's just a horrible, sickening feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, your children, you kind of have these hopes and dreams even when you're like not even pregnant yet. You've planned your children, you kind of plan their names out and how they're going to be, and actually when they arrive, their personalities are completely different, or their scenarios are very different. I mean, I mother all my boys very differently depending on their needs and anything there. But you just can't determine what's going to happen at that stage. But I think preparing for motherhood is crucial, but we can never prepare for those feelings.
I know. And you're in it, aren't you? We say this all the time. When you're the one in it, you can't see it. No. So what advice have you got for women who perhaps are listening to this today and are feeling like, well, that is me. It is different to what I expected. I don't feel like I love them all the time, or I'm having trouble bonding, or I think I'm a little bit obsessive, or it's just not what I expected. And I do feel like I just want to do something and throw myself in a river, or I'm having these thoughts, but I'm so ashamed and I feel so guilty. What would you tell that woman to do today?
Reach out to somebody. There's always somebody that's on the end of the line. I mean, nowadays we've got online systems, so even if you don't feel like talking to somebody, there's always somebody there. Find your little tribe. Find some way of reaching out, because nobody's going to judge you, and you're not going to have your children taken away and things, which is a big fear for a lot of women, but really just getting the help and support in place, just finding that one person, even if it's a friend, somebody trained, like Pandas is a good association that helps women with postnatal depression. They've always got advisors at the end of the line, so it doesn't have to be somebody close to you, but really reach out, because talking, it really helps. There's so many treatments as well. You don't have to go down the antidepressant route or things like that, which a lot of people feared, which I did myself. Lots of different types of treatment out there, so, and it's all very different to each situation as well.
Absolutely. And what, I don't know if this is even harder, what about if you are the husband or the sister or the mother or the friend of someone who you think isn't quite having the experience of being a mum that they thought they were going to have, and you can see that they're struggling, Claire, what would you advise that person? Oh, sorry, we lost you there on the link.
Sorry, cut out a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
What would you get as, like, you know, if you're the mum or the sister or the friend, how would you advise that they try to reach and get through and help that person?
I think it's really hard from looking in at somebody. I think that is even harder than when you're in it, actually. I know my husband had said that to me. He was at a loss and he didn't know what to do and things.
Yeah.
Again, with my mum and other friends and things, it is so hard when you've seen that bubbly person either go into themselves or becoming a little bit, their behaviours a little bit odd or things, but really just being open to chat to them, helping them, supporting them really can be so beneficial. Just be that listening ear sometimes, you know, don't go around. I think as well, when we become a new mum, when we've got those visitors coming round and everybody wants to hold the baby, but actually we need people to hold the mum.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. That's so true, isn't it? Yeah. You feel overlooked.
We do.
It's funny, you know, because I was saying this
totally. I mean, it's all...
Sorry, Claire, I was just saying this to my friend at her baby shower the other week. She was saying, oh, I hate being the centre of attention. I hate all this fuss. And I looked at her and I said, make the most of it, because for the rest of your life, people will look at the baby and the little person and you.
They do.
It's a lovely feeling, don't get me wrong. But if you're not in a great place, you kind of feel even more isolated and pushed out.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, when you are going around to a new mummy's house and things, offer to make her a cup of tea rather than, oh, do you want to take the baby for you?
Yeah.
Actually, making her a cup of tea might be more beneficial than anything else, or doing work or something along those lines, because we're trying to do everything and we can't do everything, and just realise that you are good enough. Good enough is more than
amazing. Is amazing. And the gift from this was that you really found your purpose and your calling through your experiences of being a mum and of having postnatal depression. You've set up not one but two. So as a career, you've become this sleep consultant for babies, and you train a baby massage and everything, really helping families to have a better experience, because the sleep thing is huge. If the baby isn't sleeping and we're not sleeping, it's a very different experience if you've got a baby that doesn't sleep.
Yeah, definitely. It's gone round twofold, really. I think I went through this experience as a gift for others. Now as a sleep consultant, and I've gone into, it's such a special, rewarding job as well, because I go in and I've even had clients say, you've literally saved our marriage and things like that, because sleep deprivation can be literally, it's awful. I mean, they use it in torture things, so it can be so hard, and it's such an adjustment and things. So, and now
you've created that business to help people no matter where they are in the world. Like if someone's out there struggling and is just struggling to get the sleep routine in, they can come to you, work with you as the sleep consultant. You don't have to be in Kent, you can work with you anywhere in the world.
Anywhere,
so we'll have to share your details, because there are so many people.
Oh.
Every time I'm at a hairdresser, somebody asks me about baby sleep routines. So I'm like, I only had one and I was lucky. So,
it is. It's literally looking at the whole situation, not just the sleep as well. It's looking at everything. I kind of go in and look at this family dynamics, the child's personality, the temperament, the environment. There's so much I go into. It's not just the sleep itself, and there's so many things that we can actually put in place that can help even support the whole family. It's not just the child that's not sleeping, it's help supporting the whole family.
And then for your
it's a privilege.
Sorry, Claire, and then for your local community, you've opened up the Nurturing Hearts Hub.
Yeah, that's we just opened last November, so it's very in the early stages at the moment. But I'm wanting to create a hub which supports the whole community. So we've got baby classes there, we've got classes for when you whilst you're pregnant as well. So right through pregnancy and the early years, we're going to have family groups, peer support groups, breastfeeding counsellors there, and all sorts of different things. Just all those little things that parents actually do need in the beginning, because the first 1001 days from conception to 2 are the most crucial times of our lives for gaining that emotional development and creating those relationships that are going forward. So if we can create those initially, then we can create such a loving, sounds a bit crazy, such a loving, peaceful world, really. I mean, we all like that thing. So, but it's now becoming a little bit more within the government that the first 1001 days are the crucial times for that to happen, and it's becoming a little bit more important now.
Now we're understanding those formative years, the difference it makes. So we'll definitely make sure that people know how to get in contact with you for that. So what, of all of this experience and of all of this trauma and beauty that's come from it, what's the one life lesson you would want to pay forward to anyone from your story?
Oh, that's a good question. There's so much, actually. I think to realise that you are good enough, not to strive for perfection, and really that it is okay to reach out for support and help, because we're never meant to parent ourselves. We're always meant to parent as in a village, and it does take a village to raise a baby, raise a child.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, finding out more about your story, and I just know that somebody's going to hear this and it's going to make such a difference, and they'll hopefully reach out to somebody as well if they're having the same time that you had, Claire. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies.